Well, good morning, everybody. Oven is preheated. I hope everybody can hear me. I am having difficulties with my microphone. It broke on me, I think, so I'm just not using it, so hopefully you can hear me. Today we are making a very, very important dish to the Southern culture, and it is biscuits. Everybody has their own biscuit recipe that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. There are little tips and tricks you're going to learn all along the way. If you watch anybody that makes biscuits, they'll always say, you have to do this, you have to do that, don't do this, do this. I get it. Everybody, you know, your grandmother's cooking is the best, and it is. My grandmother's cooking was the best to me. It just was. I will say, one of the most important things to biscuit making, and I stand firm on this, and I will not waver. You have to start your biscuits with some coffee. If you're not starting with coffee, then you can just leave. I'm just kidding, stay. Anyways, being from the north, I'm from upstate New York in the country. You know, I was never privy to, we had biscuits, you know, breads and things, but we didn't do, you know, the southern biscuits and gravy, the sausage biscuits and gravy, which is a dish that is just big time in the South. I like to frequent antique stores, and I like cooking, and I like old cookbooks. One of the cookbooks I have is where I got my biscuit recipe from, and it's called the Cook's Book. You can see it's falling apart, and I'll tell you why in a second. The Cook's Book. It's by the KC Baking Powder Company. It was an advertising book for them that they would give out. And in it is the KC Baking Powder Biscuit. So what they want you to do, obviously, is use their products. They had flour, baking powder, baking soda, all sorts of stuff for cooking. And that's where I do derive my recipe from. It's from here. It's not from my grandmother or my great-grandmother. It's from this book. I like it. I use it. You know, if you already have your own biscuit recipe, this is just another iteration of it and how I do it. With that said, I've got my coffee. I've got my cookbook. The reason it's falling apart, this book was copywritten 1935. This is pre-World War II, okay? So it's an old book. I handle it with kid gloves. When I'm done with this, it goes back up on top of my refrigerator, and it stays there. It does not lay around, does not get thumbed through. I'm the only one that uses this. So with that said, let's begin. This recipe calls for 425 degrees. Some people say 450. That's fine. Whatever temperature you're using is fine. This is this recipe. Please do not be eyeing up my farm-to-table pumpkin puree pumpkin cheesecakes I made this morning. Those are mine, not yours. I'm not sharing them. They're mine. Go get your own. I'm just kidding. I'm working on some recipes for that. I will be doing a video next week on that, I believe. But I did make 2 with my pumpkin puree this morning. So with that said, let's get rolling. It calls for 2 cups of flour, which I already have in here, sifted. Okay, some people don't sift anymore, sometimes I still do. It said sifted, so I sifted. 2 cups. Calls for 2 teaspoons of KC baking powder. I don't have KC baking powder. I have baking powder, but not KC. So there's my 2 teaspoons. It calls for 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That is in. I'm going to take my handy dandy whisk. While I'm whisking this, I just want to say one thing. What do you call What do you call a vegetable that has no money? What do you call a vegetable that has no money? A portato. A portato. So that is all put together now. Now this recipe does call for either water or milk or cream. You can use your choice. You're only using a little bit, so I'm just going to use water. To me, because it's such a minimal amount, I'll just use water. If it was something that was going to, be a quarter of a cup, half a cup, I would use milk or cream to give it a little more flavor. But it's only a few tablespoons just to bring the dough together. So I'm just going to go with water. I do have the water being chilled. The water's very cold. It's just good old filtered water. Some use butter, some use lard, some use Crisco or shortening. I'm using Crisco. My mom always used Crisco cooking. This recipe calls for just shortening, so it's the shortening I'm going to use. That's my choice for this. I've had this recipe before. I like it. I like it with butter also, so if yours is a butter recipe, I would like yours just as much. So while I'm down here, I'm going to be putting in the shortening. I'm just going to cut this in. I just have my little handy dandy measuring device here. This recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of shortening. I want a little more shortening. So I made, and I've done this before, the executive decision to do 6 tablespoons of shortening. It's very cold shortening. Some will say put it in the freezer. You got to have it nice and ice cold. I am not in disagreement there. I have done that. It works well. I've done these every which way you can imagine. I'm fine with it. This has been in the fridge for a couple hours, so it's nice and cold. Now, some will use a food processor nowadays and cut it all in really nice so they get, like a sandy consistency. Some will use a dough cutter to cut it in with. I just use a good old-fashioned fork. That's what I use. Then what I do is, after I get this kind of worked in a little bit, I'll use my hands. Even though I'm from Oklahoma, I wash my hands. That's just a joke. Oklahomans wash their hands. I was just making a joke. I'm just having a good time here. So I cut it in with the fork. I will get in here a minute with my hands. I'm going to use my hands anyways. People are like, well, you're gonna warm up the shortening, and yeah, you do warm up the shortening a little bit. But I have in the past. I'll just put it back in the fridge. I'm not going to this morning, but sometimes when I'm done, I will put the dough back in the fridge. I'll let it rehydrate a little bit before I roll it out. That works well too. That's just another tip or trick. If you feel it got too warm on you, So right now, it's a lot of stuff. It's pea-sized. So I'm just going to get in here with my one hand. Okay, I'm just, as you can see what I'm doing. I've seen other chefs do it this way. People do it this way. Some don't. Okay, it's all combined. So you can see that it's got a nice consistency. You can see a lot of it's like pea-sized. It's sandy. It's kind of like beach sand, wet beach sand. Okay, that's what I want. I can't see the comments. It's too far away. I can only imagine. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of cooking is, what do you like to eat? How do you like your food prepared? And this is what I'm doing. So now I got it to that consistency. Now I'm going to take my really super cold water. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons in. I'm going to take my fork. I'm going to roll it around. You're trying to get it to come together, okay? Once I get it together, I'm going to try to adjust the camera so you can see how I'm working the dough. The reason the liquid is always, could be different depending on the kitchen, is because humidity levels. If you live in a really dry environment and your flour is super dry, guess what? You might have to add more liquid. That's why it always says 6 to 7 tablespoons or 7 to 8 tablespoons, because it could vary. I've had flour that I got one time from up the store here, one of the big box stores. Their trailer sat outside overnight, because I went by at one point, it hadn't been moved. And when I went in, they were unloading the flour, and it had been sitting outside in humidity all night. So when I got it home, you could actually grab the flour and make a fist, and it would stay together. That's how humid it was. So humidity has a lot to do with flour. Okay, this is coming together nice. Almost together. So what I'm going to do is, one of the most important things while you're making dough is to remember that you have a hot cup of coffee sitting there and you don't want it to get cold. Okay, so my dough is where I want it, I think. It's pretty much the consistency I want. It is. So I'm going to put it out here on the table. Okay. Let me see if I can get this turned down a little bit. Just bear with me here, people. There we go. Okay. Let me see if I can get that down here on the counter. Is that where I want to be, pretty much? Okay, let's do this. So, I have floured my surface, okay? Floured the surface. Let me turn that a little bit, there. So you can see I've made a ball. I'm going to press it out now. I am going to do something right now that people are going to scream about. They're gonna say, never, ever, ever, don't use your rolling pin. Don't use your rolling pin. Just so you guys know, I'm not gonna use my rolling pin, okay? I promise you. But I'm gonna use a piece of 1¼ dowel rod from my shop I have used in baking for years. I'm sorry. Now, I've rolled it out to about 3/4 inch. Fold. People will say don't overwork the dough. I agree. I'm going to try not to. That's why they say not to use a rolling pin. Squish it, squish it, squish it, right? Folding it is what's going to give you your layers. So when you see all those flaky layers, guess what? That's from rolling it out. Usually you fold it, turn it 90 degrees, fold it, so on and so forth like that. So I've rolled it, flipped it 4 or 5 times. That's good enough for me, okay? Let me get a little fresh flour on it. Okay, now I'm just gonna start rolling this out. I'm gonna get this to about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to explain why. Some are going to say 3/4, some are going to say 1/2. It's okay. I'm doing 1/2 inch because these are going to be for, I'm doing sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches later for dinner, and I want biscuits. So I'm going to roll it out to about 1/2 inch. Do I have a cookie cutter? No, I do not. I don't have cookie cutters. But I have my one my 1 cup measuring spoon, 3-inch diameter. It's perfect for sandwiches. Okay, I'm gonna take it in here, pop it, there it is. There's number 1. I have my baking sheet with parchment paper. Some say don't twist them, don't twist when you cut because that's going to affect how it rises, and I get all that. That's you know, again, that's one of those tips and tricks. Everybody has their little tips and tricks they have. Now I'm going to bring it back together really quick. I'm kind of excited I'm really anxious and looking forward to seeing the comments in the chat, because I know people are going to have issues with how I'm doing this, and that's fine. It really is. Everybody cooks different, but as you can see, these are not coming out too bad. I think they're coming out quite good. I think they're coming out very nice looking. And I'll tell you what, when I throw eggs on this and a little bit of sausage or something, and a little cowboy candy, I'll tell you what, I think they're going to be perfect. So, one more. This one is just going to be formed by hand because I don't have enough to squeeze it out, and that will be fine. I'm going to eat that one with some butter and jam here in about 10 minutes. So, what have we accomplished here? Two, 4, 6, and this weird looking one here. So I've got 7 biscuits. This is gonna get eaten right away because that's an embarrassing one. That's always the one that you wanna just eat before anybody sees it. Push them together. I always push them together because they push against each other and that allows them to push up. They're gonna go for least resistance, okay? They're gonna hit each other and then the baking soda is gonna push up. If you have a space in between them, they can push out instead of up. And then I've folded them. You'll start to see these should be flaky. So 425, 425, for 12 minutes. 425 for 12 minutes. So give me 1 second here. Excuse me. I am going to switch everybody to this little number here. Okay. So now I can read comments. How is everybody doing today? I guess I've only got 3 likes on the live, so I'm assuming people aren't liking my cooking technique, and that's okay. It's all okay. It's all good. Everybody cooks a little different. Everybody has different technique, right or wrong. I am going to give a quick cooking, baking hack. Misty already liked it. All right, Misty. They have these dough cutters, and you know, you can spend a lot of money on baking. Baking is a big business, okay? And they have all these baking utensils you can buy to have in your repertoire. Yes, I'm speaking French. Yep, I know a little Latin, a little French. I also know karate and 10 other Japanese words. If you're ever looking to save money when if you're baking, You can go to a Dollar Tree, you can go to a Dollar General. This is not a paid promotion. You know what that is? That's a body and fender. That's for Bondo. That's for spreading Bondo. I can get these for 99 cents for a pack of three different sizes. You get a small, medium, large. I have the medium one out in the one shop, but small, then there's a little bit bigger one and the large. These work fantastic for cleanup. When I have excess stuff left over, I just push it to the edge of the table. I scrape it up, push it over here, take it over to the trash, dump it in. These are great for scraping up dough. It makes for super easy cleanup. It really does. Oh, I got 5 likes now. 5 likes, woohoo! 5 people liked how I made my biscuits. So the biscuits are in for about 12 minutes. That's just a guideline. And it might take longer. Like I said, I only made mine today 1/2 inch thick because I did 1/2 inch because I'm going to use them for sandwiches later. So I don't want to have this super thick biscuit and then have my egg and sausage or whatever else. Oh, thank you, Spongy. I don't want to have all that stuff in the center. Then the biscuit's going to be too tall to try to eat. So whenever I do them for sandwiches, and that's what I'm having for dinner tonight, is I'm going to have sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit sandwiches with my home fries. And just so you know, I'm not joking. When I harvest my potatoes the other day, I picked another 2 or 3 pounds of potatoes. I harvested out of the garden. There's a video coming up. I came in, I cut them up, I parboil, and I strain them. And then I just put this in the fridge. So every day, I can come out when I want home fries. They're already par cooked. All I have to do is I throw either bacon grease or some beef tallow or butter in the pan. I throw this in. I toss in a handful or 2 of these. Salt, pepper, a little paprika, smoked paprika. 5 minutes later, I have fried potatoes to go with my eggs. Not a lot of extra work. Do the work once and make your life easy. One thing I did forget to do is I want to melt some butter. I know I'm getting crazy. Okies getting crazy here. And I'm going to have that in a minute. To use my little handy dandy brush. And I'll brush the top of the biscuits when they come out. So, this is 2 pumpkin pies. I didn't make the crust. I cheaped out. They had 2 for sale. I got them. It was a test recipe, so I was not going to take all that time to make crushed graham cracker crust. I wasn't gonna bother with the time. It's a new recipe I'm trying, and I wanted to try with the my pumpkin puree. So that's why I have 2 pumpkin pies over there on the stove. I did want to talk about a couple things real quick while we're sitting here. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., I'm doing a live from the garden. I think 5 or 6 pumpkins that have to be harvested. And I thought, what better way to do a live than I'll just do it right from the garden. So about 8 a.m., I'll go out, I'll have my clippers all ready, and I'll just point the camera at the locations, and I will start to go around, and I will clip each stalk. I'll hold it up for the camera, we can talk about it, and then I'll probably put them in front of the little garden picket fence out there and stack them on each other and take a big picture for it, like a thumbnail or something at some point. If I'm doing my math correct, my last pumpkin gave me 10 cups of pumpkin puree. I'm still using it. I have it in the fridge here. I'm gonna have probably 6 pumpkins, all about that size. So I'm hoping I might end up getting 50 to 60 cups of pumpkin puree that I can freeze. So starting tomorrow after the harvest, I have a double oven here. I will be baking off all of the puree over the next day or two. And that will be frozen. So anytime I want to make cheesecake, I want to make pumpkin bread, I want to make pumpkin pie, I want to make pumpkin bisque. It takes two cups of drained puree for a pumpkin pie. It takes about 1.5 cups for a cheesecake, and for 2 cheesecakes, and about 1.5 cups for a pumpkin bread. Yes, Teacher Kelly, it is a lot of puree, but it's gonna last me the whole winter. My daughter, when I see her, she likes to bake. I'll bring her some next time I go down to their house. I'll bring her maybe 10 cups. My son also likes to cook. I also will add it to mashed potatoes. I'll add it to to potato soup, because I just like pumpkin. I like sweet potatoes. I like carrots. Anytime you bake any of that stuff in some kind of a pie or cake, I am down with it, because I love it. So this is like I said, this is the cook's book from 1935. It's very delicate, but it's really cool. Look at this. So check this out. The cook's book. Jacques Manufacturing Company. Yes, I do. Thank you, Spongy. But look at some of the paintings in here. Look at some of the drawings that they do. I have one from, I think, 1912, a book. But look at this. They got a raisin cake, orange cake. It's just such a cool, you got to be careful with it. That's why I keep it nut cake and nut caramel frosting. But I don't know if you can make that out with the bright lights, but it's really a cool book. So I keep it together with a paper clip, and then I keep this on top of my fridge in between the other cookbooks so it does not get damaged. We got about a minute left, and then I'll check them. I'll pull them out here and check them. Let me get my cooling rack out. So tomorrow, 8 a.m. is my pumpkin live, where I'm going to harvest a bunch of pumpkins in the garden. It's going to be live. I'm going to be clipping them live. You're going to see me take them out real time. Next week, you can see the pumpkin cheesecakes behind me. I'm going to do a pumpkin cheesecake, one with a walnut, crushed up walnut crust that I'll make. And I'll make the graham cracker crust also. That'll be from scratch. They were on sale. I couldn't pass it up. I knew I was doing some test pies, so those will work fine for this. Okay, 4 seconds. Let me get rid of that timer for a second. All right, let's see what we got going on here. All right, I'm gonna let them go for about another 3 minutes. So I had them in for 12. Sometimes they have to go a little bit longer. I need more coffee. I mentioned this before, if you didn't hear this. The reason I'm doing biscuits today is in the next week or two, I'm working on a breakfast recipe for post-Thanksgiving. And what it's going to be is, it's going to be a different iteration of biscuits and gravy. It's going to be biscuits, which I'll use this style biscuit. And because it's going to be biscuits and gravy, these would be rolled out about 3/4 of an inch thick. So they will be a taller biscuit. These were only 1/2 inch because I'm using them for sandwiches. So they're going to be a thicker biscuit. So I wanted to show you how I make the biscuits. And I'm going to take some of the pumpkin puree. I'm going to mix a roux. And I'm going to put a little bit of cheese in it. And thicken the puree with that, with some of the warming spices like pumpkin and nutmeg and cinnamon and things like that. And I'm going to make a gravy puree with roast turkey, which is going to be poured over the biscuits. And then I'm also going to be making an apple cranberry compote that will go on the side. And I'm working on a post-Thanksgiving breakfast in case I have guests over Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving morning, I can do regular biscuits and gravy and do a pumpkin turkey biscuits and gravy with cranberry compote. So that's the reason I'm doing that. It's something I've never heard of before. I'm gonna do it because I like pumpkin, I like biscuits, I like gravy, I like roast turkey. Oh boy. I saw, Shannon, I saw your video about going back to school, and then it kind of hit home. I had to go to the store this morning, and I went out the end of my street here, and there goes the school bus. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, time just is almost, I don't even know if time exists anymore. We just seem to go from one day to the next so fast, so fast. It just doesn't even make sense to me. But biscuits have about 29, 30 seconds. I'm gonna check them again. Okay, what I'm gonna do is throw a little butter on them. This is just some of that. Oh, here, hold on, I'm sorry. My bad, let me see if you can see those. Anyways, I'm putting on some melted butter. And they are going to work out perfectly because, as you can see, I'm gonna put them in for just another 2 minutes. I think they need a little more. Just looking at the side, I'm gonna let it go 2 more minutes. I've always done 425. I know some people go 450. Sometimes I've often thought about just switching it up to 450 and see how it works out. Hey, Grandma Teresa. Hey, Spongy. Hey, Misty. Sorry I wasn't talking to everybody. I was trying to not lose my train of thought, which happens, it seems, much easier these days as I get closer to 60. I think I'm getting to be an old man, decrepit. I can remember when my mom and dad were, pushing 60, and I used to think, wow, they're so old. Yeah, hopefully she's doing well. Oh, hey, little Texas is in the house. I didn't see him come in. 450 on convection bake works best for me. Okay, I'm gonna remember that, Shannon, because this is a double oven. Let me see if I can show you. This is a double oven. The bottom is a convection oven. Hey, Tidy Twins, how you doing? So yeah, Shannon, I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna do convection bake 450. So do you do an actual at 450? Because if I put my oven on convection bake and hit 450, it will turn it down to like 405 or something. So I'm gonna have to look into that if it's a true 450. But I'll give it a try because, you know. All right, let's see. That's about it. Let's see what we got, everybody. Oh yeah, much better. So what I want to show you was, if I can show you this. I don't know if it'll show up. I'm trying to get it to. Oh, let me see. So. Turn that off for a second. There it is. Okay, see how it's flaking up all the way around? That's what they're looking like. So, like I said, I only did these 1/2 inch because this is gonna be a sandwich later. I'll cut it in half. That will be cut in half because I'm doing bacon, egg, and cheese or sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits later. And of course I have some butter left over, so guess what? Butter is going back on top again. And like I said, I have the one here that that I didn't use the cutter on, that I just had the little bit of dough left and I pressed it down with my hand. I'm gonna let that cool. And Okies is gonna have, ooh, look at that steam. If you can see that steam, I don't know if you can see that or not. But, oh yeah, it's nice and flaky. Southerners are right, I'll tell you this much. Biscuits are delicious. They just are. I could throw roofing tar on that and it would be delicious. I would eat that with roofing tar. I would eat that with rat poison on it. Biscuits are just delicious. So I got 6 left. We'll see what's left at dinner time. I am not sure. So next week I'm going to do our mac and cheese. I'm going to do our mac and cheese. Let me do this real quick. Forgive me for this, everybody. Next week, I'm gonna do a mac and cheese dish that's been in our family for generations. Thank you, Spongy. Thank you, Tidy Twins. I know a lot of people, if you can have pasta, some people, I know there's certain diets that don't allow pastas, keto and all that. If you like pasta, stay tuned next week. I'm gonna do our macaroni and cheese. I think it's 3 or 4 generations it's been passed down. And I'm going to discuss the origin of the mac and cheese, and I'll give the history and the story behind this family favorite dish. You won't believe what I'm going to tell you, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that. I am not going to divulge that now. I just said divulge. I'm using $3 words. I'm using French. The other day I was using Latin. I got to slow down. People aren't going to believe I'm from Oklahoma. That's a joke. People from Oklahoma are smart. I'm just kidding. Time out. Yep, macaroni and cheese next week. I'm gonna do a pumpkin cheesecake next week. I just did the trial. I can adjust, my son and daughter-in-law are getting one of those cheesecakes, and then we will be eating one of the cheesecakes, and then they can tell me what they like and dislike about it, is how I like to do it. And then I can take my likes and dislikes. Very good, teacher. Very good, Kelly. Like it. I like it. Oh no, my goodness, look at that. What is going on here? What's happening in Okies world? Okay, everything is normal again. Everything. Okay, everybody calm down. Got my hat back on. So yeah, we're gonna do mac and cheese, cheesecake. Once I figure out if that's how I wanna make it or not. I have one other iteration that I can use for the basic recipe. But I will tell you this, it is a very simple recipe. So if you want to make it, I'll put the recipe in the description. It's only 10 ingredients, and it's only 10 ingredients because 4 or 5 are spicing. It's literally cream cheese, puree, sugar, eggs, and then the rest are spicing. So you're gonna have it in your pantry, probably. You're gonna have all the stuff in your pantry, except maybe the pumpkin puree. And you can use store-bought puree, that's fine. Nobody's gonna judge you. But that's coming up next week. Like I said, once I get the spicing figured out, I'll divulge all that next week. Like I said, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'm gonna do a live from the garden, a short live. I want you guys to see as I harvest my next batch of pumpkins. I'm excited because these pumpkins are 12 to 16 inches in diameter. I have one that has a disease or something, or some kind of mold on it. I thought I did something wrong, but it's been in the sun. I've rotated it just like all the others. It hasn't been in standing water. So I'm just wondering if it's just a disease. You're making Mediterranean mac and cheese on Saturday. Awesome, Spongy. Shannon, yeah, I'm really excited because once I harvest these, that'll be 2 or 3 plants I can cut out of the way and remove from the ground and start composting those. And now I can start rearranging the garden because I'm going to be doing, I have 13 baby red potatoes ready to go in the ground. I have for the fall. And that's the other test I'm going to do. I'm going to be chitting some more potatoes in the next few weeks because I'm going to plant even in October. I'm planting potatoes in October and November. I want to see how far into the winter I can get down here in Oklahoma, weather permitting. You know, if I'm already getting 10-degree weather, which we shouldn't in Oklahoma in November, I won't. But I'm going to plant because I want to see how far I can take my potato harvesting into the winter. Is one of my test things this year I'm doing as far as gardening. So I've got a lot going on. I'm building my boxes. So yeah, I might have a frost, but we don't typically get a frost till late December, early January in Oklahoma. We usually, Christmas time, we're usually right around anywhere from 55 to 65 degrees. I think last year we were 75. You know, when we first moved down here from upstate New York how many years ago? 16 years ago, 17 years ago, we moved down from upstate New York. Our very first Christmas down here, we were grilling hamburgers on the grill outside on Christmas Day because it was 75 degrees and sunny in McKinney, Texas. So yeah, the winter is much different here. That's why I keep planting stuff because my radishes out there right now, my radishes are 3 inches tall. I'm gonna go out and harvest some of the greens for a salad later, and I'm just waiting for them to bulb. And then probably in a week or two I'll have radishes. I planted beets. Beets are more of a cool weather crop. I tried to grow them, they just didn't take. I've used those beets before. They've been a very good seed for me. It's 90 to 100 degrees is just too much for some vegetables. So I'm going to just go out later and dig a furrow, and I'm going to put more radishes in that furrow. So after I harvest these, I'll have another whole batch. And that should be my 6th or 7th harvest of radishes this year. So that'll be interesting. But with that said, those are the plans for tomorrow. 8 o'clock Central Standard Time in the morning is my pumpkin harvest. Next week I'm doing a pumpkin cheesecake with my puree, either a live or a video. I'm not sure yet. It all depends on what's going on. I'm going to be doing our macaroni and cheese dish that we've made for generations, and I'll give the origin story behind it. It's quite a story. You're not going to believe this story and how it came about and how we are eating this mac and cheese today. You won't believe it. It'll blow your mind. Got a bunch of stuff coming up. So with that said, I have to get out in the garden and get prepped for tomorrow. And I got some video editing to do. And I have coffee that's calling my name. So thank you everybody for showing up. I hope I didn't offend anybody with my jokes or the way I make biscuits. I know everybody makes them different. Like I said, mine was from a 1935 copywritten book. And I hope you all have a great day. If you don't like the way I make biscuits, you keep making them your way. I just wanted to give you how I make them because I am doing a recipe coming up using them. So you guys all have a great day. Peace out. And remember, tomorrow's Friday and we're coming up on the weekend. So see ya.